Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to talk to you guys about something that's become more popular, and certain YouTubers and various people are doing this and promoting it, and that is the idea of using blood flow restriction during your deload weeks. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. Alright, for those who don't know what it is, blood flow restriction or occlusion training is this idea, this method that people use, which I'm not a fan of, I don't support, to which you wrap tourniquets around your arms or legs while you train them with extremely light weights for high reps. Now, the idea behind this is because there have been some studies that showed that doing this, even with really light weights, builds up large amounts of anabolic metabolites in the muscle tissue. It replicates a lot of the effects of metabolic fatigue that people get from going to failure with moderate weights. And therefore the conclusion is it must stimulate muscle growth like moderate weights. Now, it's really funny that you see a lot of people promoting this who also do powerlifting and strength training also. You see guys like Alberto Nunez and Dr. Lane Norton promoting some of this. You know, even though they're bodybuilders, they also do promote powerlifting, compete in powerlifting, that sort of thing. And the funny thing is, I get a lot of my training ideas from the Russians. Yeah, I know, I'm very pro-American, and that might sound like blasphemy, but let's just be honest here. They fucking know more about strength training than we do. We stole most of our best ideas from the Russians and all their research on strength training from the Cold War. And they kick our asses to this day in powerlifting and Olympic lifting. We can't compete with them in either one. Let's just be honest here. Now, the reason I bring this up, the only reason I bring that point up is that last time I was looking at some of these guys like Lane Norton talk about doing the blood flow restriction during deloads. I envisioned him going into a Russian gym and trying to explain what he was doing to some of the strength coaches there, while they watched him wrap these tourniquets around his arms or legs. And I just envisioned one of these Russian coaches taking a shot of vodka and then going, "Fuck this bitch, this is Russia." And I don't know why that popped in my head when I was looking at that earlier, but it did. And I just thought I would share that with you guys. But back to the point about blood flow restriction training. Here's the problem with this idea. They're doing it saying, hey, look, this is a way to get some of the benefits of deloads because you're doing really light weights, so you're not interfering with connective tissue and stuff. Because they don't really put much stress on your connective tissue. None of that's going to fail to recover, and a lot of people do their deloads when they start to feel connective tissue pain or inflammation. The really light weight of it, even with high reps, puts less stress on connective tissue. So, you know, you can go ahead and stimulate additional muscle growth in theory while allowing connective tissue to heal. By the way, that also answers the question of people who are like, but doesn't really light weight for high reps, doesn't that strengthen connective tissue? Isn't that a way to build connective tissue? No, why in the world would anybody think that? Really light weight puts less stress on the connective tissue. It isn't going to make your connective tissue stronger. So I don't know where people have come up with this idea. Heavy weight strengthens connective tissue. Now, lighter weight, we could argue, can build just as much muscle tissue, but it doesn't strengthen tendons and hypertrophy tendons the same way. And that's kind of the point. It doesn't stress it as much. So people who are doing this training are like, it's a great way to let your connective tissue recover in your arms and your legs while still stimulating muscle growth during a deload. Now, your problem with that is that people who are suggesting this, they don't understand the purpose of a deload. They don't understand the purpose of a deload. You're going to do arm and leg isolation work on your deload and stimulate all this growth. You know what? Your arms and legs grow on deload weeks when you don't do any isolation work. In fact, when you deload, it's usually advisable that you just do your basic compound movements for your deloads for the light weight, and you just skip a lot of your accessories and isolation work. Why? Because they're not necessary. See, here's the thing. If you've timed your deload correctly and you're doing your deload correctly, you're not using the deload to stimulate new growth. Why would people think that they need to perform exercises that create large amounts of metabolic fatigue on their deload? You grow on your deload week from the previous 3 to 4 weeks of overreaching that you did before the deload. Right? That's the whole idea behind it. Deloads are generally used in that way as part of dual factor recovery training, meaning you're looking at different factors in recovery and you're pushing yourself with progressive workloads beyond what you are capable of recovering from. And sometimes you do it for several weeks straight. All right, you are pushing beyond what you can recover from workout to workout. So at the end of the week, when you finish training, by the time you start the next week, you haven't recovered from the previous week. This is called overreaching. You're reaching over the workloads that you are capable of recovering from session to session or week to week. Now, if you do just enough of this and you time it correctly and you back off, you don't overtrain. In fact, you get quite the opposite. You don't recover, and your strength might even seem to be starting to stall, but you're training with workloads that are inducing enormous amounts of fatigue, enormous amounts of adaptive stress. So much so that you can't even grow from all of it because you can't recover from it and grow fast enough to compensate for that workload you're doing. Now, if you continue to do this, this eventually becomes what we call overtraining or overtraining syndrome, which is a diagnosable medical condition that sports physicians can recognize and diagnose you with. It's always a bad thing. But if you do it for a short enough period of time and then you back off, you grow while doing workloads that are sometimes half or a third of what you normally perform. All right, those little lighter workouts that you're doing reinforce the training signal. They get some circulation going. They respark just a little bit of muscle protein synthesis, but they give you just additional stimulus to re-stimulate the enormous amount of training fatigue and training adaptation that you have stimulated previously in the weeks before so that you continue to grow. You're also doing them, more importantly, because that actually contributes very little, more importantly, you're doing the exercises to maintain the motor patterns, meaning you start losing neural efficiency and motor pattern learning, motor unit learning on exercises when you don't perform them for a week or two, right? You lose some of the pathways that you've trained in your nervous system. By performing them with perfect form, with a lighter weight, you're retraining and keeping those motor pathways fresh so that you maintain the skill of performing the exercise. Because lifting weights, just like throwing a ball or throwing an object or kicking a bar, doing any other thing, riding, playing a guitar, whatever it happens to be, has a motor unit pattern to it. All right, your brain and your nervous system are trained to perform those patterns. You can lose a little bit of your peak edge in that training, in that motor pattern, right? You can become a little stale at it. By re-sparking that with a lighter weight, you're maintaining your neurological strength. The growth that you get during a deload week comes from the previous overreaching work. And if you actually overreached correctly and you deload at the right time, why would you need to create these new metabolic metabolites? Your biceps and your lats and everything else should grow just by performing some really lightweight barbell rows. Your chest and triceps should be able to grow just fine just from performing a really light bench press with 50% of your normal weight. Not even for high reps. All right, none of that's necessary. You're going to grow as a response of the previous overreaching. So this whole idea of trying to do this during your deload week to try to stimulate new growth, why? You stimulated the growth already for your deload week. The deload week is where you catch up and your body can finally recover and adapt to all the excessive amount of training you did before that it couldn't previously recover from. So you've got to wonder where people are getting this idea. They don't seem to understand how to really time a deload week right. If you really think that you're supposed to be stimulating new growth on a deload week, maybe you don't really understand how the overreaching, underreaching process works. It shouldn't be necessary to do this. A deload is supposed to be a deload. You're deloading just to maintain your motor patterns. You're deloading just to maintain some basic performance on the movements. And you're allowing your body to adapt and grow from all that previous work. In addition to the fact that the blood flow restriction training, again, the data I've seen on it isn't very convincing. And I've got whole reasons I've discussed in other videos in the past on that. It's just not convincing. I remain unconvinced that it has a single benefit over doing lightweight with high reps without the bands. I see it as only risk. People having to go buy products they don't need, waste time in the gym wrapping themselves up looking like a jackass, training with tourniquets and taking small risk of using tourniquets for a benefit that I think is unproven. You know, if you want to come in and train with just really light weights and high reps for whatever reason, come in and train with really lightweight and high reps, you know what? Technically, you can grow from that. You don't need the bands to do that. Because you know what? All those anabolic metabolites they're talking about from the blood flow restriction bands and that training seems to happen in studies with really lightweight doing 30 and 35 rep sets anyways. It seems to happen automatically. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.